Hello, and welcome to The Happy You, where you're going to learn about patterning, a positive psychology. In this session today, what we're going to look at are thought patterns. Specifically, we're going to look at the 4 filters. Now, we all know that our thoughts affect our mood. But what we don't know is that there are actually patterns of thinking, positive patterns and negative patterns to our thinking. Once we can see these patterns, what we'll be able to do is interrupt the negative patterns and replace them with the positive patterns of thinking. The way we're going to organize these things is through what I call the 4 filters. Now, the 4 filters were adapted from the work of Dr. Martin Seligman, who really is the father of positive psychology. He started looking at optimism back in the 80s and 90s, and that's where these 4 filters kind of are adapted from his early work back then. Now, the 4 filters are this: significance, why, what, and how. From these 4 filters, we influence our energy, which influences our mood and feelings. So let's look at each one and see if we can understand it a little better. First is significance. Now, our brain mainly filters out information. There's a lot of things that you're feeling and experiencing right now that you're not even aware of. If you're sitting down, you're not even aware of what your butt feels like in the chair until I point it out. So most of the things that go on around you are just filtered out. But when things break through and we see them as significant, we pay attention to them, then how we pay attention to them will start to affect our mood and emotions. Some people will see things with high significance, and some people will see them with low significance. Well, this ability to change the level of significance in our mind dramatically changes our energy level, which affects directly our mood. The second filter is why. Why does something occur? And here, our brain basically has 2 ideas. Either it's about me, something I did, something that I feel personal about, or it's situational. It's something that isn't about me. And based on those 2 parameters, will again dramatically affect my energy, which affects my mood. The third filter is what. In the what filter, what we're looking at is what can I do about it? What control do I have? And here we see ourselves as either having control or not having control. And those 2 parameters, again, affect our energy, which affects our mood. The final filter is how. How is this going to affect me, affect others, affect the future? And here we either see it having effect or we see it not having effect. Now those are the basic 4 filters. Let's go through and look at some situations and see how they play out. Now let's start off by looking at negative situations, because negative situations are going to be looked at differently by positive people and by negative people. The first filter is significance. So, I run my car into a pole. I get a fender bender. Well, my brain's most likely going to see that as significant. But how significant? If I'm a negative person, I'm going to probably give it high significance. On a scale from 0 to 10, I'll probably give it a 9, something really big. And what that's going to do is really amp up my energy. But if I'm a happy person, a positive person, I'll probably give it much less significance. Maybe a 2. It's not the end of the world. It happens. I got insurance. And because I give it less of a number, or less of a significance, I'm going to have less arousal around it, less energy. My next question my brain's going to ask is why? Why did it happen? Well, if I'm a negative person, I'm going to see it as it happened because of me. My car didn't start, or I ran into that post, or whatever it was, because bad things are always happening to me. It's something about me. It's personal. Because of that, my energy is going to be really high now. It's going to peak out because I'm taking all that negative energy and putting it inside, holding it inside. Now, a positive person doesn't take it in. They see that event as part of a circumstance. Therefore,
my energy, again, stays kind of low with my focus outside on what's happening around me. The next question is what? What control do I have, if I have any? Well, a negative person is going to see themselves as having no control. Where a positive person, they're going to see themselves as having control. Something they can do to prevent it or to do now that it's happened. The last filter that brain goes through is how. And in a negative person's mind, how this is going to affect me for a negative person is usually quite large. It's going to affect me, it's going to affect my friends, or it's going to affect my family, or it's going to affect the future. And they take it and they make it have a huge effect. Where for a positive person, they may see this event having really no effect on themselves or in the future. It's just an accident. So let's look at the results altogether. A negative person will give a negative event high significance, which gives them lots of energy. Then they'll take it on and blame themselves for it, which gives them even more arousal or more upset. They'll see themselves as having no control, so that upset gets turned inside, and they'll see the effect being large. That way it makes it even more upsetting or disturbing. All of this will create emotional collapse. The energy will get high and bottle up inside, and that will produce a feeling of unhappiness, maybe anxiety, maybe sadness, maybe depression. But it'll create a feeling of unhappiness as all these feelings build up and collapse inside. Where a positive person gives it low significance, sees it as situational, which helps dissipate the energy again, sees themselves in control, which again helps dissipate some of their energy, and doesn't really take it in as a negative effect for their life. So what all that does, it keeps them in a calm mood, even though it's a negative situation. Well, what if this happened for a positive situation? Like, what if I'm driving to the store and I find the perfect parking spot right in front of the market? Well, if I'm a positive person, I'm going to see that parking spot as significant. In fact, I'm going to see it as high significant. I may say that's a 9. My day rocks because I found this awesome parking spot. Where a positive person or negative person is going to look at that parking spot and go, big deal, it's a parking spot, and give it very low significance. Now, a positive person will see a positive situation and make it personal. And by making it personal, they really take that positive energy inside of themselves and ramp up with it. A negative person will do just the opposite. They'll see it as a situational kind of thing, and they won't necessarily take it to heart, again, which keeps their energy low and dissipated. In terms of what? A positive person is going to see themselves as in control, which is the same as a negative situation. In every situation, a positive person sees themselves as having control and focuses outward. Where a negative person doesn't really see themselves as having much control. That parking spot just appeared and they didn't have much to say or do about it. Lastly, how? And again, here my brain as a positive person is going to see a greater effect. They're going to see positive things happening, and they're going to believe that positive things are going to just keep happening or bless other people as well. Where a negative person, they'll see a positive event, and they won't think it has much of a future or any positive future going forward. There's no effect. So the results overall, a positive person gets high energy because they rate it significant. They get even higher energy, and they take that inside because they own it. It happened because of me. And they see themselves as having control over the greater situation and circumstance, which helps create that feeling of movement. Again, they'll see how this is going to affect them in the future as a positive sign. All of these things come together and get our energy up and get our energy out, which creates a state which we call flow. and we all feel is a feeling of happiness or well-being. Conversely, a negative person is going to give positive low arousal. They're going to see it as situational, focusing it outside, with really no control over it, and really no effect. Ultimately, that's going to give them effect of feeling calm. Good thing happens, and they're like, blasé about it. Just as the happy person was blasé about a negative situation. Now, how can we apply this to you? Well, let me give you an exercise called What Went Well. And this exercise was created by, again, Dr. Martin Seligman, the guy that we talked about a moment ago. The way the exercise works is like this. First thing I want you to do is daily journal one positive event in your life. And what that's going to do is start training your brain to seeing what's good or seeing the positive in your life. It's going to give emphasis to positive events. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to write why whatever that positive was happened. And here I want you to give yourself credit. Own it. Take it in. See your own personal power in how you created this event. And third, I want you to write how this is going to affect others, or even how it's going to affect your future. I want you to take this positive event and focus the positive outward to help maximize external energy. And what that's going to do is, again, get your energy up and get your energy focused out to create that sense of flow. Thank you so much. Again, I am Brett Williams. You have been learning about patterning, a positive psychology. Take care.